This episode is brought to you by Honda. Introducing the all-new, all-terrain Honda Passport Trail Sport, the most off-road capable Honda Passport Honda has ever dreamt up. The Passport features increased ground clearance, roof rails on all trims, and available specially developed all-terrain tires. And you'll stay comfortable with tri-zone climate control and available features like heated and ventilated front seats and a panoramic moonroof. Learn more at honda.com/passport.
Shopping is hard, right? But there's a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And she sends just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and styling tips. I keep what I love and send back the rest. It's so easy. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Spotify. That's stitchfix.com/Spotify.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, onabotulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
TaxAct knows filing your small business taxes can be a nightmare, like the kind where you're being chased by a giant W-2 form and you're running and running, but you can never reach the submit button. Or something like that. So, TaxAct offers Expert Assist with live tax experts to make filing taxes less scary. Now, you can just have pleasant dreams about being chased by other giant, non-threatening paperwork. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Welcome back to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network, and you can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/@RamsUpPodcast. I'm your host, Mark. I'll be joined often by my football guru, Ian, along with a bunch of other friends of the show on occasion. Let's get to it. Hey everybody, Mark from Rams Up here. Yesterday we had Ian on to talk quarterbacks that the Rams might be interested in the early rounds, and he's going to come back and talk about wide receivers and some other positions, and we're going to have those draft experts from back east, Pennsylvania to be exact, and they're going to come on Wednesday and talk all kinds of draft talk. Today, man, we're warming up Scott for the draft, and it's a fun time. And Scott's here. Scott Richmond is going to talk tight ends with us. What is going on, Scott?
Hey, Mark. How are you? Hello, my fellow Rams fans.
Yeah, this is, the NFL draft is so much fun. I just really enjoy it. And, we never really know what's going to happen. We like to pretend we know what's going to happen and make all these different predictions. There's something about the NFL draft and analyzing these players and trying to figure out what a team like the Rams are going to do. It's just a lot of fun. I don't know what it is. It's almost addictive. And we're just going to be pumping out draft content between now and the actual draft. And it's just a lot of fun. I don't know what it is, but I think there's a lot of you Ram fans are just like me. It's just a fun time. So let's get into this tight end talk, and I'll present a summary of these players for those of you on the audio only. What I'm showing here is what we got 6 tight ends we're going to talk about. Well, no, we're not going to talk about, Scott, I assume you don't necessarily want to talk about Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland, correct?
Correct. The presumption with the Rams picking at number 26 The presumption is that Tyler Warren is probably going to be gone in the first 10 to 12 picks. And I don't see Colston Loveland getting past the Colts or the Chargers,
Yeah.
before
Now,
pick 20.
yeah, and the problem is, and I'm going to do a little exercise in the next couple of days about trading back and then back up, which I think is a realistic. I think you and I have done that once already. But trading up, the problem is without a second round pick, you're probably going to have to surrender a first or second rounder, probably a second rounder next year, and a bunch of other stuff in order to move up into the top, 10 or 12 to get a tight end you want. That's the problem. But that said, the guys we are going to talk about are Elijah Arroyo, Harold Fanning Jr., Mason Taylor, Terrence Ferguson, Jalen Conyers, and Joshua Simon. So you said that you kind of divide these guys up into categories. Talk us through this.
Yeah. The main purpose here is we're looking for tight ends with high-end traits that lead to consistent separation in the passing game, good yards after the catch, and competent blocking skills when used as a move tight end. So we're not necessarily looking for that large inline tight end, overall tight end. There's really not many in the draft. I think Tyler Warren might be the only one that has has the traits of that large body style that can be used as a inline blocker, a drive blocker. Most of these guys would be used as move tight ends. They're going to go in motion and they're going to probably block, do a wham block on the end or go shoot into the B gap, like they have their tight ends do. They're going to be pretty mobile. The two groups I have, some of them are going to be great pass catchers as far as route running, and the other half are going to be players that are just very productive with the ball in their hand as far as yards after the catch. They all have their competent level blockers to be used in the scheme. Some of them need more work than others. But that's basically it. We're kind of looking for that diamond in the rough that McVay's been looking for, when he's tried to trade up in the past. Somebody has pretty good production skills that can really create more explosive plays than what the existing tight ends can produce.
Okay, so about looking at your chart here, for those on the audio only, I'll run it down. The important stuff, I think, is it looks like the receiving grades, favor Harold Fannin Jr. And he rates 96.4. These are Pro Football Focus grades. That is where the grades are from, right? PFF. And
Correct.
Blocking grades, the only one that really stands out there is Jalen Conyers. But it seems like they're all, I don't think there's big separation among these guys except for Fannin when it comes to receiving. Mason Taylor's right there behind him. And for informational purposes as well, it looks like Fannin is expected to go in the second round. Fannin expected to go in the second round. And then Arroyo and Taylor, second to third. Terrence Ferguson might be the next one off the board, third to fourth round. And then later in the draft, Jalen Conyers and Joshua Simon.
Excuse me.
So anything more? How would you break these guys out? You said you had two groups that you might break them into.
I think there's three here that would probably be better receiving types, guys that would run routes upfield into the intermediate range of the field. Elijah Arroyo, Mason Taylor, and Terrence Ferguson. They all have, better than average 40 speed, foot speed, being able to get off the line of scrimmage. The other three, you'd probably be best off describing as better yards after catch guys. They can create big plays, but either they really don't have the speed to, let's say, beat a linebacker or a safety downfield and create a lot of separation. You're probably going to need to get the ball in their hands closer to the line of scrimmage and then let them do their work that they naturally do. Um, let's see which player here. Jalen Conyers and Joshua Simon. They're near the end of the list. They're probably more later round projections, but they do offer an upgrade of what the Rams already have, and that is, like for example, Joshua Simon runs a 4.65 40. That would be probably quicker than any other Rams tight end, and his production is 13.2 yards average per reception, which is pretty high. Looking at that, along with Harold Fannin was 13.4 yards per reception, and only Elijah Arroyo was more with 17 yards per reception. So Arroyo's at the top of the list. He would probably be if you asked me who's my favorite, I'd say if the Rams could trade up back into the second round and get Arroyo, that would be my first choice. I think he's the best pure route runner. He can separate the best of them all. And one of the videos we'll have posted later shows him catching a pass against Georgia Tech. The ball's thrown to him immediately, running up the seam. The safety tries to come up and get him, misses. And you can just see he just runs like a wide receiver and just runs. Nobody's within 15 yards of him all the way to the end zone on a big 40 to 50 yard touchdown play. So I think Arroyo's number one, being able to separate. Terrence Ferguson, who could probably be more of a third or fourth round, it has great overall balance as far as blocking skills and being able to separate. He runs a 4.63. He was the quickest timed 40 of all the tight ends at the combine. He also had 14 yards per run. He's in the 92nd percentile in yards after catch. So he might be my second choice as far as a player that can do it all. You can put the ball in his hands on a screenplay and get 15 yards off of a 5-yard design play.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Ferguson and Arroyo both played catch with two quarterbacks we talked about last episode, Cam Ward and the Oregon quarterback, Dylan.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Can't think of his last name, but the advantage of a guy like Ferguson, right? So you're slating him to go in the third to fourth round. So that would be in the Rams' sweet spot. They got 2 third-round picks and a fourth-round pick.
Yes.
So, you don't have to necessarily sacrifice anything to go get him if you want.
Mm-hmm. His blocking is, it's okay. I think PFF gives him a 63. There's room for improvement. For as big as he is, 6'5", 248 in that range. He's not going to be able to drive anybody off the line of scrimmage, but a lot of times the move tight end is going to probably be much more of a ceiling blocker. They're really not. When they go in motion and then run through the B gap to be a lead blocker for the running back, a lot of times, they're just a linebacker wants to come up to try to fill that hole. A lot of times they're just going to meet them in that hole and seal them and keep the linebacker from getting any arms on that running back. So they're not necessarily going to drive the linebacker back, but just seal off. And that's what most of their blocking is going to be evolved around. You're probably going to need your larger inline tight ends to do, the heavy work as far as trying to drive defensive ends off their spot, moving them left or right or into the further back off the line of scrimmage.
So you think he'd be an upgrade over Colby Parkinson and Davis Allen for sure?
I think Ferguson would, yes.
Yeah.
If you with the Rams, I think McVay has started to use a little bit more 12 personnel. That's, one running back and 2 tight ends. I think any of these guys you could use as your move tight end, along with either Tyler Higbee or Colby Parkinson already in the game as your inline tight end. These guys could be the pass catching specialist on the play. or they could still be a blocker, if it's a designed run. So,
Yeah, I know the thing about Arroyo is if you were to ask me which tight end has been celebrated the most on the YouTube channel in the comment section, it would definitely be Arroyo. So Ram fans there seems to be a consensus among Ram fans. If Loveland and Warren are out of reach, Arroyo might be the guy. Now, the problem with Arroyo and Fannin is where the Rams are currently slotted to select. I don't think it's going to happen unless they move up into the second round or move back out of the first, make some moves to add a second or early third round pick. Otherwise, I don't see either Arroyo or Fannin Jr. ending up on the Rams, unfortunately. Hey, talk to me a little bit about Fannin, and he's a guy that, of the guys that I've watched, limited tape I've watched on tight ends, I find Harold Fannin Jr. to be, let's put it this way, his highlight film is the most impressive. And I know highlight films are sometimes a little misleading. You're getting a cherry-picked film of these college players.
Yes.
Tell me more about Harold Fannin Jr.
Yeah, he was, he came out of high school as a defensive back. He also played a little bit of offense. I can't remember what position, but he had never played tight end before. He really had no offers, 0 scholarship offers, and Bowling Green was the only team that the only college that would really look at him. He went there. They decided to change positions on him. They moved him to tight end, and from day one, the coaches said, "Oh wow, this guy's going to be an NFL player." It was just magic when they moved him to tight end. He doesn't have elite explosive get off. He has a long stride. He covers a lot of ground with his legs, with his stride, and he has build-up speed. So it's deceiving. His, he only ran like a 4.70 40-yard dash at the combine. His 10-yard split was 1.56, not that great. So he's got the build-up speed, but he's deceiving because I kind of grouped him in with the second group of players. They're probably more explosive. They're more productive with the ball in their hand, yards after catch. But I think one of the notes here I had, he's got the long stride, but he still can get downfield and catch and beat defenders to catch intermediate passes. One of the stats is that he had 32 catches of 15 plus or more yards, which is pretty awesome for a tight end. And once he has the ball in his hands, he created 32 missed tackles last season. And if you compare that to wide receivers, the best wide receiver only had 30 forced missed tackles. So
Yeah.
This guy's just dynamite with the ball in his hands. He's hard to bring to the ground.
And I think that's what I was seeing on the highlight reels too. He was, leaping over defenders and just making incredible moves in open space. He's only 6'3", which is a little short for a tight end, but definitely has receiving skills. I've always liked him. I just don't know, if the Rams can make him. I should say, I wanted to mention at the beginning, if there's one position I'd bet $100 the Rams are going to draft this draft, it's tight end. I'm almost certain they're going to draft a tight end, and very well could be one of these guys. And there's only a couple positions I would say that about, but tight end would lead the list. So that's why we're doing this.
Get ready for Netflix's gripping new medical drama, Pulse. Set in a cutting-edge Miami trauma center, third-year resident Dr. Danny Sims is unexpectedly thrust into a promotion when beloved chief resident Dr. Xander Phillips gets suspended. Then, with the emotional and physical stakes at their highest, a storm will push the hospital and its residents to their limits. Witness how life can change in a heartbeat when you're operating under pressure. Watch Pulse, only on Netflix.
Today, the beverage aisle looks a lot different than it used to. America's beverage companies are working together. We're delivering the options everyone wants. In fact, nearly 60% of beverages Americans buy have zero sugar. You'll find more variety than ever, including more of your favorites, now available with zero sugar. You'll also find more sizes and clear calorie information on the front of every can, bottle, and pack. We know when it comes to finding balance, the more choices, the better.
Faraday presenta Ojos con Alergia y Picazón contra el jardinero. Y el ganador es Faraday Extra Fuerte. Para aliviar la picazón de los ojos por alergia, actúa más rápido y supera a Claritin y Flonase aún a las 24 horas. Faraday, adelante.
Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Harold Fandon Jr., a little bit shorter, great with the ball in his hands, great in open space, very dynamic. Has some shortcomings maybe in some areas, but who else do you want to talk about? Who's the next guy you want to talk about here?
Mason Taylor. Mason's the son of Jason Taylor, the famous Dolphins pass rusher. He's probably the smoothest athlete out of the bunch. He just looks naturally smooth in everything he does. Gonna need work on his blocking. He doesn't have as much production as the other guys, and like he only has a 9.9 yard per average reception. But there is an asterisk next to that. If you watch his film, for some reason the offensive coordinator just did not scheme him downfield much. You know, most of his pass routes are just short crossing routes or screen passes, you know, at or near the line of scrimmage. So that really reduced his production per play. But he does have the natural athleticism. He ran a 4.65 40. Had really good change of direction. He just about a 7-second 3-cone drill, which he has. That's pretty great change of direction for somebody that's 6'5", 250. So I think over time he would end up being a great tight end addition. He could probably end up growing into being an overall tight end, an inline or a moving tight end. He could probably be either or. With that said, I just don't know if he would offer the explosiveness that McVay is looking for in a tight end from to be able to plug him in day one. I think he would just be a great addition overall for the next 4 seasons to upgrade the tight end room. I don't know how much you're going to get out of him his first season.
Yeah, and the Rams do have a history of drafting players with NFL lineage, shall we say. And actually, one of the tight ends they drafted a few years back, Bryson Hopkins, right? He was the son of an NFL player. And I think Mason Taylor seems like kind of like a compromise. You're looking for maybe not awesome in any particular area, but definitely, skilled, a decent blocker, decent receiver, hard worker, character, all those issues. But maybe, you're settling maybe a little bit. Maybe you're settling just a little bit. But I know a lot of folks really love this guy. And the problem he's probably had, maybe not so much last year, but previous seasons, LSU is always loaded with wide receivers. So that the tight end becomes a little bit of an afterthought sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree on that.
Who else you got here? We haven't talked about
Um,
Conyers or Simon yet.
yeah, near the end of the list, Jalen Conyers and Joshua Simon would be guys that they'll probably fall, on day three. They'll probably be in the fifth, anywhere from the fifth to seventh round. But they do have some traits that I think would make great move tight ends in the Rams offense. Conyers, I think he's just a great playmaker. Average speed, he ran a 4.7, 4.40. He was a receiver coming out of high school. Was originally signed by Oklahoma. Didn't work out. I think he redshirted and then transferred to Arizona State. So the picture here you're seeing when he played his sophomore year at Arizona State. He then transferred to Texas Tech, and that's where he finished out his career. So last year he averaged about 10.6 yards per reception. I think he had seven touchdowns, 6 to 7 touchdowns. PFF gives him a great run block grade of 80. So he really can get it done in the running game. And he's very good with the ball in his hands. So I think he would make a great H-back move tight end in the Rams offense. Joshua Simon comes from South Carolina, and he's on kind of like similar to Conyers. They're in the 6'4", 240 range. Simon's 245. Simon ran a 4.6, 540, a 1.58, 10-yard split. So he's got the athleticism that would be an upgrade over anything the Rams have at the given moment. He also had great production with 13.2 yards per reception. His highlight reel is just littered with plays where he's catching the ball within, at the line of scrimmage or only 5 or 6 yards deep, and the play ends up going for 40 yards. So very good production with the ball in his hands. Decent blocker. He has a 67 rating as a run blocker. So he's somebody I would be confident that I'm just surprised he's not rated higher. He could.
Yeah, what I'm seeing is, so it looks like Simon's the slightly better receiver, Conyers the significantly better blocker, and Conyers at 260 pounds. He's the biggest tight end we've talked about here.
Yeah,
so
he might be the thickest.
Yeah, right, and that usually equates to the better blocker, not always, but okay. So it sounds like, if we're picking a tight end in the fifth or sixth round, who you got, Conyers or Simon? Who's your preference?
I'd probably go with Simon because of that athleticism.
Okay. I still have a feeling the Rams may try to move up and grab Warren or Loveland. It's going to be really expensive if they do, though. But and people poo-poo that idea and think it's silly to think that the Rams would do that. But we know pretty much for certain that we're pretty certain that he tried to trade up for Dalton Kincaid.
Yes.
And then he tried to trade up for Brock Bowers. So why wouldn't he try to trade up for Loveland or Warren, right? But if not, then these guys appear to be he's got some options here later in the draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
And,
they do. And one of the last things I'll say is that I don't know if we have time to show any of those video clips, but
yeah, and as you can see here, Taylor's got some pretty good film on Mason Taylor for sure.
Yeah, you can see on this gauntlet drill that the ball's coming at him from both the left and the right, and they're running a very straight line, and they're running at full speed and catching the ball and not dropping anything. That just really shows that their football speed is much better than their timed speed in the 40-yard dash. It's a football drill. It really shows how they perform on the field, being able to run at full speed and catch the ball. The second one there would be of Joshua Simon doing the same thing, running that drill, and it's hard to tell sometimes, but he's running at full speed. He's up up near 20 miles an hour with the clock speed while catching every pass and not dropping anything. So I think that's a great example of how those guys are going to be great pass catchers running down the field.
Okay.
In production.
Okay, so if we look at the Rams depth chart, we take a look at a snapshot of the Rams tight end group right now. You got Tyler Higbee getting up there in years. We all love Tyler Higbee. We all love him.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to face the fact that maybe he's coming towards the end of his road, right? We have to just accept that. And then Colby Parkinson, the free agent, some Ram fans already want us to move on from him. I think you might be in that camp. Are you in that camp, Scott?
I am. I thought he'd be a good cut to save cap dollars, but they seem to be doing much better. So maybe leave him in.
Yeah,
towards training camp.
And see what happens in the draft. If they land Tyler Warren, maybe they move on from Colby Parkinson. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But so they got Colby Parkinson, then you got Davis Allen, who he's had a couple of moments.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a serviceable number 3 tight end. And then you have these guys, and these guys are not included on this list, of course, Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland, who we'd all love to have on this team. I think either one of those guys would be the heir apparent to Tyler Higbee and would probably get a lot of snaps even if Tyler Higbee is still around and Colby Parkinson. But then you get into these guys, they'd have to have some proving to do if they're going to be the next, number 1 tight end on this team. But it sounds like you have a really good feeling about Elijah Arroyo. And I think you'd be happy with any one of these guys. It's just a matter of getting them at the right spot in the draft, right?
Yeah, I think Arroyo or Harold Fannin. I think there are players that I think McVay could game plan to getting them in and scheming them in from day one and getting them playing time. Not a whole lot, maybe 8 to 10 snaps a game to see if they can get some explosive plays out of them.
Yeah.
As contributors, as rookies. Yeah, I think that would work. Some of the other guys I think might be a little bit more developmental. They might need a season before they start seeing regular playing time.
Yeah, it's just going to depend on what they want to do as far as moving around in the draft. If they wait till 26, is there someone else they like at another position? They trade back. I don't think they take one of these guys at number 26, right? I don't think that makes sense.
I don't think so. I think one of the possibilities is you think about the teams that are quarterback needy, like the Browns and maybe the Giants. I think one of them is probably going to end up being a little gun shy of drafting a Shedeur Sanders, number 2 or 3 overall. So they may like take one of those like a Travis Hunter or the pass rusher from Notre Dame, for example, in the first round. And then I think as the first round goes through, they contact the Rams and say, we'd like to trade back up into the end of the first to get a quarterback, which would allow them to get a 5th-year option on that quarterback. Let's say if they
that's absolutely true. I think and Ian talked about this extensively.
Mm-hmm.
The perspective that there's some quarterbacks that teams are not going to want to select in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
They still want them. They just don't want to pick them in the top 10. So you get to the Rams pick at number 26 and they're like, this is where we would like to pick them. And the Rams back out to the second round. And like I said, I'm going to do a scenario on that very soon here, if not tomorrow, where the Rams trade back and then trade back up, move around a little bit, end up with 8 picks. Got it all mapped out here, all the trades. Now, it's only realistic if the other teams want to trade with you, but it's just gives you an idea of what trading back and trading back up might look like. But I have a feeling one of these 6 tight ends are going to end up on the Rams, would be my guess. And there could be, the Rams are pretty good at finding these guys that are not on our radar they draft a player and like, who the heck is this? And they could do it. They could do it again to us, but good chance it's going to be one.
Yeah, if talking about that, they did meet with one tight end already. I don't know if it was at the combine, but they one of the Rams executives spoke with the Thomas Fedoni from Nebraska.
Okay.
And he's, he's on the radar, but he's probably, most drafting sites probably list him as an undrafted free agent. So he's one of the bigger tight ends. He's about 6'6", 250. He moves pretty well. He was at the combine. His highlight tape doesn't look too bad, but I'm just not too sure he would be somebody that could step in day one and produce.
Yeah, and they also met with I think they spoke to the UCLA tight end at some point as well, and he's another guy that might get drafted. And I have a theory on this. I just a theory, and I'm probably wrong, but when they meet with a lot of these guys, they're more likely to meet with guys that are on the cusp of getting drafted because they don't want to play their hand, If there's a second or third round prospect that they're really interested in. There have been a couple of players, we've seen it, where the Rams drafted them and they talked to the player. And it's like, I haven't heard from those guys at all.
Oh yeah.
And then there's these undrafted type or guys, seventh round on the cusp of getting drafted, where they're sending a signal to the player, hey, you might not get drafted, but we really want you in our camp. So take our phone call after. We're going to call you 30 seconds after the draft and make you an offer here. And if someone else drafts them in the seventh round, so be it.
Yes. There's one note that I would probably put in anybody watching that would say, hey, in some of those ranges you've given players, you left out Gunnar Helm and Mitchell Evans, for example. And yes, that's true. And one of the reasons being is that of those two players, they kind of lack, I think, the ability to probably be a first-year performer for the Rams. Gunnar Helm is 6'5", 245. He's a decent producer in the passing game, but his blocking is just it's below NFL norm. He would probably need a whole year to be able to go in motion and to actually be a successful blocker. The other one is Mitchell Evans, and he's more of a traditional tight end. He's larger in size. He's 6'5", 260. And he's a decent blocker, probably below average for his size. They grade him at 60. And his speed is just not that great. I think he ran a 4.75. And a lot of his pass production is close to the line of scrimmage. He's really not going to be separating downfield against a linebacker or a safety. So that's kind of those are two of the guys that I kind of left off the list because, they would probably come in and end up being a good tight end too for you, but that's not what we're looking for on this exercise.
Yeah. If you're 6'5", 260, and speed is lacking, you better be a good blocker. And if that's not the case, that really hurts your cause. I'm glad you mentioned those guys because if you hadn't, we'd have a bunch of comments in there. What about this guy? What about that guy? So thank you for that. Okay, Scott, good stuff. If you wanted to move on to another position group between now and the draft, give it some thought. We'll have you back. I know Ian is probably going to come back with a look at wide receivers. One position I'm really interested in looking at or having someone look at is cornerbacks because I think, there's a couple guys at the top of the draft, Will Johnson and Barron, and then there's a big gap into potential second-round picks, Benjamin Morrison, guys like that, and that's another position I think. But, I don't want to get off on a whole discussion about cornerbacks, but the Rams cornerback room, there's a lot of bodies there. There's a lot of guys, but I don't know that we have that real difference maker. And I don't know if you're going to get one, if you wait till the third round, that same dilemma. Man, we love having Braden Fisk on board, but it's really kind of a punch in the gut this year not having a second round pick. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, cornerbacks will be a very good review because there's so many of them.
Yeah. But if
and,
you want to
and
take
trying to identify exactly how the Rams want to utilize them in the cornerback room is that's one of the more complicated position groups to cover.
Yeah, and this Barron dude, I keep on changing my mind on him. The folks on the channel are not a big fan of him, but man, watch the tape on him. This guy is a difference maker. He's just a little small. So I don't know what and he's probably going to be gone by number 26. Some teams are going to really value what he can contribute and his playmaking ability and against the run as well. So he's a tough guy, really dynamic player, has some speed, but I want to get a better evaluation of him and how he's going to fit in an NFL defensive scheme. Okay, Scott, thanks a lot. Good stuff. And onward towards the NFL draft. Fun times.
Yes, loving it.
Okay, out here from Rams Up. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.